Hello folks and welcome to the Ashcast. Today we have a Ashes International League Finals, myself versus Brian. I'm playing into Mona deck, the elephant deck I ran in the last video, with a few modifications that allow me to deal with certain matchups. Brian's running a Saria mill deck called Fadi Meditations. Saria starts off round 1 and I'm anticipating an owl, so I dump hand tricks during step 2 of the prepare phase. This allows me to mill a card from my deck and spend a basic to pull hand tricks back into my hand at any point and avoid memory draining one of my first 5 cards. So at this point in round 1, I've used Gates Thrown Open and Magic Purity to get that elephant out for cheap. I'm going to use it to take out that Battle Mage. Now I'm going to point out too that Brian mentioned afterwards that this was a pretty bad matchup for his deck. He didn't build in any specific answers to the elephants, thinking that the butterfly monks would be enough to slow it down if he encountered them. So Brian goes ahead and brings out the monk, and I'm going to order my elephant to take it out. Now, Butt Monk obviously isn't an ideal target for the elephant because the Last Blessing takes away from the overkill damage, but I need to try to keep his board clear, and with Uniguard I don't get much of a choice in my targets, so I'm going to be swinging at a lot of Butterfly Monks just to clear them out of the way. So I start off round 1 by attacking the owl with the elephant, and even though I do have hand tricks in my discard pile to allow me to avoid memory drain, if he gets multiple owls out, it's really going to start cutting into my resources, so I don't ever want him to have more than one. And then Brian drops Remorse to get some of that mill action going and some damage in on my Phoenix board. And you'll notice here that I have 2 copies of Gates Thrown Open and not a lot to spend it on, so this would be a problem, except for that I can use hand tricks to draw my way out of this mana glut. And that's, another reason for putting hand tricks in almost any deck. If you have too many resources, you can always pull hand tricks back and draw a card, and if that allows you to spend those resources effectively, then it's worth it. Hand Tricks was definitely one of those cards that when it first came out I wasn't crazy excited about it, but after reading Elliot Kramer's article about how useful and versatile it is, it kind of inspired me to give it a try, and never disappointed. When you have Hand Tricks in your deck, at worst you just swap it out for the next card. And as luck would have it here, I drew into an elephant. So if, of course, I drew something that was a lot lower cost, I would have simply kept pulling hand tricks and kept drawing it to try and get some more cards to spend that mana on. So here you can see I've played both my gates, and I use all that extra mana to get that extra elephant out. And I usually play the mana from the gates first, because if I don't, you can run into problems where you want to summon something from a book, but you can't use gates mana for that, so I just dump it out of my hand as soon as I can, so that I can use those other resources in my active mana pool on my summons. So here I'll use that elephant I summoned to take out his butterfly monk, and then order it and take out the owl. So that was kind of the compounding advantage of getting that second elephant out, is now he doesn't have enough butterfly monks to soak up all of the elephant swing. And now I'm able to get the full overkill damage when the elephant swings into that owl. So Brian's going to hit back here, swinging in with that Raven, using Crescendo to take out my Turtle Guard. Brian is going to start off round 3 and get that early monk out to absorb the elephant damage. I follow with a turtle and decide that since I have 2 hidden powers in my hand, this would be a good round to exhaust some of his dice and limit some of his options. You can see I have cut the strings in my hand. Now I figured this was going to be a dead draw in most matchups and only be useful in Astera. But it turns out it will actually be useful for helping me set off my chance of revenge and getting some extra damage in. So I'm going to use the elephants there to clear out the monks, and a big advantage of that is he's not going to have any more unit guard units after the monks are gone, so I'm going to be able to set up some better trades. That Fire Archer actually takes out that Raven, and then Brian has to spend 3 mana to get a new Raven out, which I'll immediately swing in with my elephant at. And so here I'm going to activate that cut the strings, of course not for its effect, just to clear out the Fire Archer and get 2 more Chant of Revenge damage on Saria. So at this point in the round, Brian's low on blockers, and I'm going to start off the next round with more unexhausted units with lots of attack. And so I'm just going to take my Wolf and exhaust a Charm Die just for good measure, avoid a Sympathy Pain, and swing with everything for lethal. And that'll finish off the round. Alright folks, thanks for tuning into the Ashcast. Check back for new games from the next Ashes International League.